This Wednesday, the secrets of the multiverse will be revealed.
Oh, I'm counting on it.
Ponder the question. Follow me. Enter the multiverse of infinite possibilities, where the stories you thought you knew are nothing like you remember.
This is our only chance.
Red Skull wants to destroy our world. I say we return the favor.
What if Captain Carter was the first Avenger? Reality is not a straight line. Every passing moment is a chance for a new offshoot, a new variation. In fact, there are more realities than you can possibly fathom. An infinite number of what-ifs. I'm Jeffrey Wright, and as the voice of the Watcher in Marvel's What If, I can see what few others can. The totality of the multiverse across all time and space. The stories you thought you knew are nothing like you remember. And foes who became friends. Wow, I did not see that coming.
Welcome back, everyone. Happy What If Week. There's a whole bunch of new trailer footage. We'll break down a bunch of Easter eggs, also explain what's going on with Thanos, because obviously things are radically different in all these alternate universes that we're going to see as part of this big multiverse plot. Also, what's going on with Thor, Doctor Strange, some of the other big characters. So if you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes. My full episode 1 video is going to post tomorrow. That's right, we're finally getting episodes. Also do a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just leave all your predictions for the series on the video. Just to explain what the vibe is and how things connect, at least at the beginning of the series, and then how they change that later in the series. The series is meant to be canon to the MCU, and some of these characters from the alternate universes will eventually show up in live action. Like they've been talking about Captain Carter being one of the biggest ones to show up in live action eventually. But there'll be more characters beyond her. And the producer said that any of the twists that you see in episodes, any of the alternate versions of characters, can eventually get their own live-action spin-off series. Like, it's all up for grabs. There are no limits. But if you've never read the What If comic book series, each of the episodes, at least at the beginning of the series, deals with a different alternate universe. So like, for instance, the universe, the timeline where Peggy Carter winds up becoming Captain Carter, a version of Captain Britain, is a different universe from the universe where Black Panther becomes a version of Star-Lord, which is also going to be a different universe that they visit during episode 3, for instance. And it's the Watcher that connects everything, as if he's watching all these alternate timelines and alternate realities play out. It's really not till later in the series that the different universe characters start to cross over and they start to hype up the idea of the Guardians of the Multiverse, their sort of multiverse Avengers team, or the Exiles if you're a big comic book fan. Like in the later trailer footage, you see a version of Dark Doctor Strange, like Dormammu Strange, however you want to call him, working with a version of Party Thor. You see them mirror the Avengers Assemble moment, but it's the Guardians of the Multiverse, and it's all the different versions of the characters. Like you have the version of Killmonger that becomes Black Panther, with a version of Black Panther that became Star-Lord, a version of Gamora in Thanos' armor with his weapons. So actually, just to explain what's going on with Thanos, because he doesn't show up during a lot of this trailer footage, but he is a big part of the episodes in the series because he's such a huge MCU character, and this is all about showing you what would happen if a few things changed. And maybe it shouldn't come as a surprise, but episode 2 is the Black Panther becoming Star-Lord episode. What if Black Panther was taken by Yondu instead of Peter Quill? And that winds up radically altering the history of the universe in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. The whole thing with the version of Thanos that's showing up during the series, at least at first, the first version of Thanos, is what if Thanos had actually turned good? What if he abandoned his plan to erase half of all life in the universe? So when I say that Black Panther becoming Star-Lord has huge consequences for the universe, that's one of them. And they did clarify why Yondu winds up picking him up in Wakanda instead of picking Peter Quill up as a child in 1988. It's all because of a mix-up. So it's not because Black Panther's mother slept with Ego the Living Planet. So Ego the Living Planet in the Black Panther episode is not his father. They didn't want to get that spicy. But the whole idea is that T'Challa as a child looks up at the stars and just wants to see the world beyond Wakanda. Like he just wants to go explore the galaxy. Yondu and the Ravagers have a big mix-up, so instead of picking Peter Quill up like they were supposed to, they go to Wakanda and they pick up T'Challa, thinking mistakenly that he is Ego the Living Planet's child. For the most part, he gets Peter Quill's backstory growing up with the Ravagers. Yondu still becomes his surrogate father, names him Star-Lord, and you see them follow a slightly different version of the plot of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie in present day, with a slightly different version of the Ravagers because of what happened in the alternate timeline where Black Panther was Star-Lord. So this is where we get back to the Thanos of it all. So in this timeline, Thanos turns good, abandons his plan to erase half of all life, becomes a Ravager, and winds up getting teased a lot about it by all of his new comrades. Like erasing half of all life, that would make you a psychopath. That's genocide, like mass genocide, killing all those people. In that timeline, Gamora still winds up being his adopted daughter. They still have their very contentious father-daughter relationship, but the way they explain it is that because his life played out the exact same up to the events just before the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he still had been going around one planet at a time, trying to erase half of all life, so the way she became his adopted daughter is still the same. It's not really till the late 80s when Yondu winds up picking T'Challa up by mistake and he becomes Star-Lord in the mid-90s as he starts to grow up with the Ravagers and they go around the galaxy that the timeline really starts to diverge up to the present day of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies where you see Thanos and Gamora and all these different versions of the characters. And the whole idea that Black Panther Star-Lord's version of the Ravagers is still a group of people that goes around stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, Robin Hood style, like a slightly less dirtbag version of the Ravagers than you see in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Also because they're doing the whole what if Thanos became good, you have the idea that basically Ultron winds up replacing Thanos as a sort of Avengers Infinity War level boss, assembling the Infinity Gauntlet, or becoming himself a living Infinity Gauntlet. Because all the Infinity Stones are embedded in him, he doesn't need to wear a gauntlet. The other joke about Peter Quill during that Black Panther episode is that you see him working in the Dairy Queen, which has a whole lot of Ant-Man energy. Baskin-Robbins always finds out, but the joke is that in the Midwest, at least during this time in history, Dairy Queen was the biggest ice cream chain. Like there wasn't a lot of Baskin-Robbins in the Midwest at that time, and Peter Quill is from Missouri. All the Captain Carter, Peggy Carter stuff we're going to see tomorrow during episode 1. The whole idea, what if she became a version of Captain America, but because she's British, she's part of the British Army, she becomes a version of Captain Britain, so to speak. That's why she has all the Union Jack flair. They actually changed the Captain America official Twitter from Falcon's version of Captain America to represent Captain Carter for the duration of her episode in some of the series. They will change the Twitter account back to the Falcon Captain America for the live-action movies eventually. This is just a gimmick that they're doing for the What If series right now. But we do finally get some footage of Red Skull with the Tesseract, and we see Peggy Carter talking about how he wants to destroy the world, which sort of ties in with the idea of this tentacle creature that looks like it came from a Doctor Strange movie coming through a Tesseract portal. Red Skull's whole plan in the original Captain America movie was that he just wanted to conquer the planet, not destroy the planet. It sounds like this version of Red Skull that we see during the series, as things go down a little bit differently, the timeline changes because of what happens with Peggy Carter, just gets a little more high on himself in the power of the Infinity Stone, the Space Stone, and the Tesseract. So things really start to go off the rails with the way he uses it. But in the way that you see Captain Carter here meeting the dark version of Doctor Strange in some of the trailer footage, that doesn't happen till way later episodes. So during the first episode, you don't really get the full sense for how everything's meant to be connected, other than Jeffrey Wright's version of the Watcher sort of narrating everything and serving as the backbone for the continuity, at least at the beginning of the series. The whole thing with episode 3 is that it also incorporates a lot of the events from the Marvel Phase 1 movies, like you see the Avengers forming, but there's a very big twist on that. That also gets into some of what you see here with the dead version of Iron Man from the events of Iron Man 2 inside the donut shop. It's kind of a murder mystery episode that deals with the conceit, what if the Avengers were murdered before they could form and become the Avengers? Like you see Iron Man collapse there with his coffee spilled as if he's been murdered, and you see Nick Fury and some of the Hydra agents like Crossbones and the other Hydra agents from Winter Soldier carting Black Widow off as if they're arresting her, thinking that maybe she's a suspect. Also during that episode, there's a really cool twist on the Hulk. So Mark Ruffalo is back as his version of Bruce Banner Hulk for the entire series, and it'll be a couple different versions of the Hulk because we're visiting a bunch of different universes. But at least this first version of the Hulk that we wind up seeing, because when this is happening, this big murder mystery about the Avengers is during the events of Marvel Phase 1 when we're still introducing the characters. It's actually Mark Ruffalo doing some of the plot from the Incredible Hulk movie. So it's Mark Ruffalo doing a version of Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk if you think about it. Even though they're meant to be the same character, it already has a lot of multiverse, alternate timeline, meta energy. Getting to the whole Loki of it all with Kang and the Multiverse War, the Sacred Timeline changing timelines. Like the joke that we should blame He Who Remains Kang for messing with the Sacred Timeline, and that's the reason Edward Norton's Hulk turned into Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. Like, the changing timelines is the reason for the recasting. Each of the episodes is meant to feel like a big Marvel movie, but as the episodes go on, the same way that they paced out the Loki episodes, the WandaVision episodes, the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes, things get crazier and crazier with each new episode, like crazier twists, bigger conceits. That's why the Marvel Zombies of it all, which is probably one of the craziest things they do during the series, doesn't happen till the way later episodes, when you get up to the events of Avengers Infinity War and the whole Ultron of it all. Ultron assembling all 6 Infinity Stones and taking Vision's body. But if you spotted any new Easter eggs in the footage that I didn't talk about in the video, or you have big questions about what's happening with the different versions of the characters or how everything's going to work in the continuity, just write it below in the comments and I'll add it to my episode 1 video when I post that tomorrow. Everyone click here to learn what's going on with Spider-Man during the Marvel What If episodes, and click here for more Marvel What If episode 1 footage and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.